Yes, when I heard during this live, I must be insane. Hello, Cancer. A very warm welcome. We are going to be doing your astrology, chakra, psychic report. I will be doing readings, providing I have time. Additional readings, which I will anyway. So, for those of you that don't know, I'm a psychic medium. I cover the astrology. I have already been experiencing much of this transit prior to it occurring. So I am thinking of all of you guys prior to August really bouncing off, because it is going to be very full on. Now, I do have 6 videos recorded already, but I have 6 left, and I've really had one of those really interesting weeks. So we are going to get into the report for you guys. And the other ones will be released as soon as I finish these. Okay. Now, this report's pretty detailed I go through the dates, key themes that can be coming up, and you have a lot of career aspects and a lot of transformations this month. You also, in your chakra system, we've got Aries and Chiron retrograde. So for you in particular, it does land in your career sector. So, and it doesn't just have to be career. What you've done in the world, what the wounds were linking to it, how those things were transforming. We have that access there. You've also, because we did have the nodes in your zodiac sign, we did have a lot of energy where you guys have really been going through it for a few years. And especially in your relationship sector, because we had Pluto there, the transit roughly is about 15 years. It's been pretty heavy. So if you have been having connections where, your romances, your partnerships, your contracts, and there's been arduous energy surrounding that, it is due to that factor, and it is easing up. We are lucky that we are moving to the end stage of it, but August is really heavy. And for those of us that do study astrology, I remember when I started tapping into it, I was like, is there any good news? Yes, there is. Moving into 2021, we are going to have lighter energy. It's just getting through this end stage of it, which has been pretty testing. Now, I wanted to get these out as soon as possible. I've had a lot that I've been doing during the week, which has been, and I've got Cancer Moon rising, so I can relate to you guys. Just this push-pull energy as to trying to achieve things, lots of unfinished business, and the frequency of the Cancer-Capricorn axis that you guys have been having. So tying up loose ends and push-pull energy of trying to complete things. Now, on the first day of the month of August, which I'm already in it, so I'm already experiencing it, you do have the axis of yourself and your connections. It is making an opposition, which in that, anything that you need to adhere to, no, you're not too late. Anything you need to adhere to. So, for instance, for me, for example, it's like I ended up getting food poisoning. I had to go to court. I had the sick cat. It's just trying to get everything done. And, where you stand in that axis, trying to be everything to everyone. Now, because Mercury is in Cancer and it's in opposition to Pluto, it's hitting the first house and the 7th house. So trying to adhere to those. Really what you're asked to do, it's going to take a lot of effort to get everything done. On the upside, because we do have the sun in Leo on the 1st, it's trining Chiron. Now, that is your career sector. So you will have the energy to get things done. You will be able to achieve it. It's just the frustrations and trying to keep your nerves kind of simmered. That's one huge theme for all of us this month, is we do need to be very careful of pacify energy. Yeah, I do think it's also the energy of ascension symptoms that we're experiencing, plus the sun in Leo. We do need to be mindful of headaches. So we're having that energetic upgrade, and it was coming through about the last 2 weeks of July, moving into the Lionsgate portal energy, which we are activating between now and about the 13th. So with this upgrade, it's like a soul walk-in to a degree, where you're physically transforming. You're looking at what no longer resonates with you, who you were before, how you are now, and moving into this new vibration. So you can have this very interesting bipolar energy going on. 1 minute feeling fine, tears all of a sudden. And then you're thinking, God, is this my energy? Is this collective energy? We're also going to be having the full moon in Aquarius. So it is like we're ending a cycle. We're having a spiritual audit system going on, looking at our life going, oh, okay, so, oh my gosh, how far have I come? Well, I don't resonate with that life anymore. And it's the past. And, you could have this nostalgic connection to the old way of doing things, but you legitimately know that that's not who you are anymore. So it's mourning it, it's giving it the grace it deserves, and putting it in its place. So to a degree, all of what you've gone through, you could be feeling deeply emotional. You are governed by the moon. So any emotions that do come up, keep your fluid up. Try and get anchored in, take the shoes off if you need to, if you're feeling really triggered. And there can be huge tanty energies happening with all of this Mars energy. And by the time we get to September, it will be extremely heavy because we will have Mars going retrograde. And there's many aspects being made that month. So at an energetic level, if there's 3D tasks you need to get done, do it now. This can be relating to the axis of Cancer Capricorn that you had in your chart, which was your first house placement. Who you are, making peace with it, as well as what other people's expectations were, then moving towards adhering to your sense of responsibility inside of connections, partnerships, contracts, what was within your control, what wasn't, making peace with it, and finalizing documentation with Pluto. So on the 2nd, we're going to be having the themes coming up for Uranus and Shadow going retrograde. You're going to have your 2nd house placement and your 11th house, and it's squaring. So pay attention on this day what can be coming up for you, because it will be, with Uranus going retrograde, there can be blessings. Now, it is at a financial level. It's also with the 11th house. It's okay. What are your hopes, dreams, and aspirations? Having to really look at it. And, again, we can say we can have some ego, but it's also going to cause clarity. So with your frequency of looking at things, with your hopes and dreams, the people you're associating with, having to look at things and looking at your self-esteem. There could be a trigger that comes up on that day because we still have Aries and Chiron, and it does link into your career sector. So when it does come to these hopes and dreams, you may be questioning, okay, what I'm doing, is it what I need to do? Is it fair-based frequency, or is it, just directly because you're developing this new vibration of who you are? On that day, you can have experiences coming up for you. Again, when it does come to finances and hopes and dreams, there could be cash going out and cash coming in, but having faith in that process. Any squaring aspects can be restrictions, and maybe you do want to be a little bit more social, but you do have a lot coming at you. Also, you may find during this month, because you do have 11th house placement and you've got a lot of career placements coming up, it's this push-pull dynamic, and it will be extremely busy. So really having to under-offer and over-deliver. If you have something going on this month, it's more the finalization, the digging through the devil in the detail, than physically taking on a very new situation. Especially because by the time we do get to the point we get to September, we're having Mars going retrograde. There is a lot of spiritual energy coming up with the axis of the benefit is we have Aries and Chiron retrograde, which is the wounded healer. So if we can pause during this process and we can look at things and just breathe, by the time Mars does go retrograde, we're going to see aspects of our ego this month. Even if we are higher vibration, we all hold it. It's the fair-based frequency. It's no, I believe this is the way things should be. It also does give you, with the Aries axis, the fight to survive, the fight to be able to achieve some of those hopes and dreams. When it does go retrograde in September, if it doesn't resonate with you and you don't have your heart and soul in it, you will find things can start falling down. So, with that Aries axis, it is inside your career sector. So you do need to be really, really certain and understand and have gentleness with yourself over pretty much till the end of the year, because it is a 10-week retrograde with shadow side either side, that you don't become disillusioned within your career sector. You will find when retrogrades occur, it does amp up. It slows down. So there can be things coming at you. So you need to have the compass to actually rest, recuperate, use your energy effectively. And it's ironic the fact that we will have Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter in retrograde at the moment, where we can see these key themes moving forward so that we can get to a place that we can actually balance things out prior to September. Thanks, Eddie. Okay, so we're also having on the 3rd, the full moon in Aquarius, and themes to do with your shared resources, your contracts can come up. You can be looking at the fine print. You could also be looking at things to the degree of you're ending a cycle, but you're finalizing things. So again, relating into tying up loose ends, it can be linking to taxation, it can be linking to insurance premiums and things to that degree, but it's also with your direct connections, because you did have the 7th house placement there. So when it does come to Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter, of that axis, looking at those contracts and seeing if the give and take's there, and really, really assessing it prior to September. Breathe it in, breathe it out. Even if you have wounds linking to the 10th house sector, remember you are that new version and you can create that new reality moving forward. And getting things in an organization. And, you know, because you do have Gemini in the 12th house, you're really needing to articulate to these connections, because it's Mercury energy. It's looking at the psychology surrounding your pastime. Some of these things can be coming up as well. What your previous energy was before, you may be thinking about. And that can be for the next 2.5 years. So Gemini is a social energy. You know, what those social aspects were that potentially got you to this place now. And did they hinder you in that financial aspect? Especially in you moving forward, looking at it and going, okay, yes, that was me yesterday. It's not me now. Make peace with it and really learn to come to a place where if you feel something isn't correct for you, there are 101 ways we can do things where we can communicate to those people directly that we are involved with, within employment, within our families, with your children, with your partners, that you can find that safe space to actually communicate and say what you're needing without it needing to be dire. Now, there can also be some things that you're really yearning to achieve, especially, there's a few points in here where you are feeling energetically that you have some maybe hopes and dreams, but you're still assessing it yet. And that is because we are moving out of this kind of axis over the next few months till the end of the year, of that Cancer Capricorn frequency that you guys went through for the last 2.5 years. So if you're not 100% sure, and it has been very heavy and you've been trying to level up, it's perfectly normal. Get anchored in. It's very Saturn orientated energy on the 3rd. It can be some things coming up to do with your hopes and dreams, you know, looking at your contracts, looking at your connections and where you want to be by the end of the year. So sit with that energy, meditate, allow whatever is to come up, and then trust the process that these new things coming in are going to be positive things, especially with Uranus going retrograde in Taurus. Now, on the 3rd, also, we're having Mercury in Cancer in opposition to Saturn in Capricorn. So like I said, 1st house axis, 7th house axis. It's restrictions. It's trying to get things done. It's what you're needing, trying to speak that point to these individuals. The difficult conversations that we're having to have, maybe looking at realities that aren't meshing with you, and looking at potentially the reasons why you're saying things. Sometimes you may find that with all the bombardment of expectations or obligations that you have on your plate on the 3rd, plus the emotions that can come up with the full moon in Aquarius in the 8th house, it's adhering to these things, and maybe something might be a little bit imbalanced on that day, but just be gentle with yourself and try and be patient to the individuals around you. Now, on the 4th, we have Mars squaring Jupiter. It is linking to your career and your contracts. So looking at it and wondering, you might feel that, how do I place it? What you're needing to do is so much more than what you believed. So you may be looking at your wounds connecting to your career and then feeling guilty linking into obligations that you have with certain individuals. But you've got to sit and look at that energy and see whether you are thinking for other people's sake or directly yours. We are, with Cancer, they were meant to be moving towards that contractual aspect. So if it's wounds coming up, don't underestimate yourself. Know that you're worthy. Know that you are going to be a success. And there can be some really beautiful things coming. It's just the tension linking to it, but really learning to communicate what you're wanting. On the same day, you will have Venus in Gemini conjunct the nodes. So again, looking at your direct psychology of the reasons you feel you can't explain or even articulate what you're wanting out of these contracts. And there can be some, especially in relationships or at work or with the people you're communicating with, you may be thinking something and wanting to articulate it. And it's really a good time to just take some space for self, sit with self and actually do something nurturing for yourself, but maybe do something fun and be playful with it. And I'm feeling the communication maybe does need to come across as playful so that you can test the theory of communication in that safe space. Now, on the 5th, we have Mercury entering Leo, so your self-esteem, your resources, maybe looking at the things that you have acquired with this transit, all the work you've done on yourself and what you've achieved. It can be your possessions, everything. It's the house in which we build our self-esteem. So again, spiritual energy of your self-esteem and how you feel about yourself. And you having the strength, but try to not be harsh with yourself. If you're going to do that, leave the belief of who you were before in the past and know that you're this new vibration and it's like a rebirth. So looking at yourself from a holistic, healthy perspective over, a lower frequency of, hey, I'm not good enough, I can't achieve these things. But I feel most of you will be feeling quite liberated. Just caution with overzealous energy or, getting into ego with the sun energy. For the first week, we will need to balance that. It can be very trigger hungry, but you're going to have the energy to achieve targets. We're also on the 7th going to have Venus entering your first house placement. So you could really be feeling great. You could also be tapping into wanting to do things at home, changing things up at home, beautifying it and nurturing the people around you. But you may be requiring that yourself on that day. Almost there, and I will get into couples, singles, those of you in between. We've got your health report and we have your career, unemployed, and the chakra energy. So I just want to get these dates to you first. If you guys prefer the dates at the end of the video, give me a heads up. I'm hoping in the future I can do it week by week. It's just, this is the way it landed. Apologies. Okay, so the hard days that you're going to have is between the 10th and the 13th, and that is where we have a lot of squaring aspects. Now, subjects linking to, again, your self-esteem and your shared resources, as well as, your hopes and dreams can be coming up. Try and work with the energy between the 10th and the 13th. You will be really looking at, okay, can this grow? What do I need to do? Wounds linking in with work and contracts, and maybe even assessing things and looking at the hard truth. But I do feel by the end of the month, it is going to start easing off. Where are the major ones I need to mention so I can jump in? I'll leave it at that at this point. Okay, so for those of you that are couples, you're going to find that most of the month, you will find towards the end of the month, you're going to have more energy to achieve frequencies of assessing paperwork, dealing with the fine detail, looking at your health. We're going to be having Mercury in Virgo on the 25th. And many of these aspects are going to help us look at things from a different perspective. So you might find you will be more busy to achieve certain targets. You also may find that your communication energy is coming through and you will be more direct. Conversations coming up will be large. So anything relating into your career, where you're going, how to achieve balance and connections. I do feel these are main themes coming up during the month. Now, with the energy of those of you who are coupled, a lot of reflection towards yourself and your health is coming up. So if you're looking at your health and you're feeling that something needs to change with this, self-esteem related dynamics coming up, you may find you might be going off food or towards food. It depends on how the energy plays out for you. Again, looking at diet, because you have Sagittarius in that house placement, some of you may be looking at it and wanting to transform that energy. And it's positive in a sense that with Jupiter retrograde at the moment, to a degree, you guys are going to be quite strict with yourself and looking at it and saying, okay, what do we need to change here? Also, with the frequency of your psychology and your body, I'm really getting mind, body, soul and self-esteem. Huge themes can come up this month, but I do feel providing there is this mutual energy within your connection, you're going to be working on that, and I do see development happening in that area. It can also be you may have a little bit more energy this month and there can be more intimate moments, but you do need to keep the communication open within your partnerships, because you will find, due to stress, if you can't articulate how you're feeling, it can cause some confusion within the connection. And this can really amplify as we move through to September. So being very gentle with yourself, but also taking a breath, getting to a place where you can actually articulate, look, it's not a personal thing. My schedule is very busy. I've got X, Y, and Z on my mind. You don't need to go into the devil of the detail, but actually keeping that communication open is really going to benefit your partnership. Any of you that are looking at health, again, I do feel home-related dynamics can be coming up this month, where between now and October, you can really be assessing your accommodation. So if you are looking at it, providing there's balance there and you're working on achieving that, it can be beautifying things, it can be decorating things, changing it up. But I do feel, because Juno is in Libra till October, there are key themes going on here where you're really assessing that, but you're wanting to have a balanced life. So if the home resonates with both you and your partner, you will remain, but there is a potential between now and October you may reassess that and it can come back on the table. Some of you may be discussing it, and towards the end of the month, themes of this can come up. But again, it will be to do with, okay, is this in alignment? How do we change our schedule around? Is this working for both individuals? But I do feel you do need to keep fluid up. Be very careful with your psychology this month and keeping grounded, and try and get rest where you can. So you can use amethyst. I'd say keep fluids up. And I'm feeling lower back energy as well. And that can be because of the heavy Saturn Capricorn energy coming through. It's really, you're working very hard on your direct foundation. So there's a lot of root chakra going on in the frequency. Now, as for your psychology and third eye, I do feel you guys will be really having an overload of information coming through and talking about these aspects of where you want to be. Major conversations can come up to do with work. There can also be major energies of a communication coming up to do with where you want to be by the end of the year financially, and really assessing the give and take. And I feel between now and the end of the year, you will be assessing that and building upon that. Now, those of you that are single, I do really feel that there is a possibility of, with the 11th house placement, there can be energies from the past coming back. I also feel if you have been dreaming about a person, again, these energies can come back, and linking in with the 7th house placement, I do feel communication coming through. Now, at the beginning of the month, you may find it can be very testing, and we do need to be very patient with that. But anything that isn't working, it can come to the forefront, but it will always benefit the connection. If the connection is strong, it will balance it and it will benefit it. It won't break it. Don't ever feel a transit is there to ruin you. It's there to develop you and transform you. I'm also seeing that with your routine, you may be assessing, do you have room for that? And I do feel this cleanup effect in your energy, singles, is really to do with the fact that you're trying to achieve things at work, achieve things at home, balance your emotions out. You also may have been meditating upon your past and, you know, what were the social things that you did with that person or with previous people, and what are you looking for in a connection, and how would that fit into your life? And I do feel the openness coming through where you're going to have it. But there is definitely a huge energy at the moment with Uranus going retrograde that there are connections coming back. And look, it doesn't have to be the romantic partner, but for many of you it will be. But it's emotions relating to that. It's also 3D nature of friendship groups, thought process of people that you've worked with, and just culminating it to really bring that closure, especially with Aries and Chiron retrograde. Now, those of you that are, really on the fence or separated and trying to get, out of contracts and situations, let me have a look for you guys. Fourth house placement. Again, if you're dealing with paperwork, you're trying to do it in a very balanced, fair dynamic. Now, many of you are working towards a firm foundation in your home-related dynamic. If there's give and take, you will be okay. If there's not, again, there is some energy where at a psychic level, at a psychological level, you can be looking, and this is for all, this is for couple singles and those of you on the fence. Psychologically, you're looking at things and you're trying to find the deeper meaning of what all of this meant. During Pluto retrograde, themes will be coming up. You'll have a lot of light bulb moments this month. As you proceed forward, you will understand, but it's really making peace with yourself to a point you understand what these things are. Now, the benefiting thing is between now and 2021, it should ease off because we're going to have Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius, which will be hitting your 8th house. Now, I listened to Astrology the other day, and I've had 8th house placement, and I actually find 8th house of development. When you go from the 1st to the 7th, it's all about you, and then all the energies that you learn from the 1st to the 7th house, it's what happens outside of you, but you have the tools directly to deal with it. So from a psychological level and a 3D level, if you are physically choosing connections, partnerships, and contracts where you feel don't resonate with you, obviously, yes, you're going to get the worst out of those situations. And there can be karmic energies relating to it where we learn harsh lessons and then inevitably we learn. It is a healthy house of codependency, but it's allowing these endings to come and having these new beginnings. With every ending, it is a new beginning. And it's funny because even with my moon in Cancer, I was seeing 999 yesterday. And it is, and even when I mentioned in the collective energy for twins, this frequency that was coming through for people collectively is we're leaving that old energy behind. Very much crow totem when we're moving towards the new energy of what's coming through. So many of you are having to have faith in that process, and you're having to look at the frequency that, yes, when you're in acknowledgement of what is healthy, it's the road less traveled, but there's no one wrong road. We all grow, and you have the tools inside you to be able to achieve these things. It's really just making these healthy choices and choosing what's correct for you and the bigger picture, but you can't make everyone happy. But if you're not happy, nobody else is going to be happy either. So really looking at that and making those healthy decisions. Now, it is a really great time. If you have heart-related dynamics, and I'm not a physician, I can't advise you. I'm speaking from a psychic, astrological point of view. Heart chakra energy can be coming up. If you are kind of predisposition to that, it's a great time to have checkups. Also, drinking green smoothies, having a detox is a really good time right now, but don't overdo things, because you can become very depleted. Getting into light body frequency and looking at your health, because Sagittarius is growth. So if you do find that the waistband expanded, there can be subjects to do with your diet coming up, and it can even be weight loss. It's looking at what you want to achieve in a sense of healthy growth. It can be muscle mass, it can be spirituality, it can be the belief systems that you hold connected to that and making peace with it. However it falls for you, there is that there for the next 2.5 years. So who you're going to be at the end of this 2.5 year transit will be totally different. So trusting in that process, but really looking at that while Pluto's retrograde, to actually look at something in your diet that needs to change up, because it's, is it to your benefit or is it to the detriment health, because 8th house placement is very much birth, deaths, endings. So it's more the unhealthy, rotten things that don't resonate with your diet anymore, that aren't working, looking at that and transforming it. And I've found even within mine, I'm like, okay, I'm getting a bit sluggish here. We need to change things up and get that yin yang balance happening. So these things can be coming up at the moment for your health. Okay. Between now and the end of the year, a lot of self-love is coming in. So it's more from a psychological mind, body, soul in your health sector. I would say getting amethyst for your crown. Definitely for your throat chakra, although it's 12th house placement, it is to do with communication because it's Mercury. So you're going to have a lot of throat chakra going on and a lot of crown chakra going on. And that is for the next 2.5 years. So getting crystals that are blue in nature, eating blue food groups, doing guided meditation, and actually practicing healthy speech. When you're needing to talk about something, if you do find it becomes quite stagnant, really getting to the point where you can actually, even if it's journaling, and then sitting with that energy and then learning to use gradual words and knowing that it's not your fault if somebody actually takes it wrong. If you're speaking very rationally, very calmly, how you say it, yes, does count, but how a person receives it is completely out of your control. And if it is coming up, you're going to need to speak it or you will start developing throat chakra issues. With the ego energy, there can be headaches and glasses. A lot of people may be needing to get their eyes tested at the moment. And again, with the courage of the self-esteem, actually looking at the inner child wounds, which is very cancer orientated. It's, the nurturing, looking at those things to develop that and knowing that we can't be everything to everyone. Every person directly is attracted to a different style of human being. So being quite fixated in an egoic belief that you need to be a particular way, it's for you, it's not for another person. Look at it from that perspective and detach from that expectation. Now, career. Do not underestimate yourself, Cancer. If you're reflecting on something and you're feeling it doesn't resonate with you, again, communication, you do need to speak to the people involved. There can be lessons surrounding this. You may have wounds and your ideals may have been during what has gone on in 2020 from the beginning to, lockdown energy. Some of you may not resonate with the job that you're working in. Some of you may be feeling you've been more busy than anything, and many have been. Others of you are coming to a point where you're looking at it and you've been able to achieve so much more in such a short space of time. But I do feel you guys are really looking at the balance, and there can be travel linking to this. So if you're looking at wider opportunities, some of you may be looking to jump ship. Others of you are looking at, okay, where can this go? Now, with Pluto going direct, there can be massive luck. And I do feel this is towards October, November, December because of the Scorpionic placement. And as for your contracts, any hard work you're doing, it's going to be hard work at the moment till we get into 2021. But just know you are going to get a break. Now, with Mars going retrograde in September, let me have a look. It can slow down a little bit. When I say slow down, you may feel you're slowed down, but it can amp up even further. So, Aries links to your physical energy. It can link to metal, iron ore. You've got third house placement of Virgo. Again, the way you speak, you're very detailed when you do. So when you need to, it's you're wanting to articulate it in a very direct manner, but at times people may not have understood that. So, there can be frustration linking to that. You do also, the way in which you communicate is great, but sometimes, how do I place it? I do feel there's with movement there, with the way you can articulate things is healthy, but I feel more in the movement sector and your Mercury energy, more to do with the end of the month. You will be able to pull everything together and be able to explain to maybe your bosses, your employers, employees, what's going on, but it can be pretty hectic at the beginning of the month. Now, on the 17th, be cautious. Also around the 15th, there can be car repairs coming up as well. and a lot of energy to do with maybe needing to upgrade certain things. If you are running your own business, needing to upgrade technology, looking at things. If it's a home-based business, looking at those things of, how it resonates with you and how it's been working with you. Has it developed you? Which many of you it has done. There are benefits to that, and you will find it, for those of you that were working from home, especially if it has been for a while, it can start easing up towards the end of the year, moving to 2021. But at the moment, it can be, very hectic trying to fine tune things. Once you can do that by 2021, there's still going to be massive growth, and some of you may actually find wins financially. Now, those of you that are unemployed, it's really a great time at the moment to put your resumes out. Also, it's a great time to look at home-based businesses. Some of you, it's more transport. Others of you, it can be the relationship of more local related dynamics going on. Looking at something that is right under your nose, because Gemini is very local energy. How do I place it? Okay, so let's look at the axis of your chart. 7th house placement. I do feel, I keep mentioning this in the other videos, because we do have 2021 having Aquarius there. It is larger entities. It's global energy. So if you're working for a business, at the beginning of the year, we had the Saturn and we had the conjunction. With that, a lot of old businesses, companies, industries, the ones that were really solid were to survive. The ones that weren't went by the wayside. So we're more than halfway through this transit now. So it's really showing the resonance of what is remaining. And with Aquarius, it is wider group energy. So it's really necessary to look at marketing, global energies, wider group frequencies, large companies. Okay. Those are the energies that will work. Now, again, I do mention with your chart, there is an energy of to do with, how do I place it? Don't try and keep traditional. You won't be able to. Work, you have sixth house placement of Sagittarius. Anything that it was before, it has transformed. You may have experienced this more so in the last few weeks, but there definitely has been a major transformation. It might have shook your spirituality and shocked you a bit, but now this rebuild of what it's going to be moving forward is going to be beneficial. And it is, your mind's going to be a magical place. So think back to the tools you had. Some of you are developing careers accidentally through this process. Others of you might be looking at your direct environment, but there can be travel or technology directly linked to it. Now, as for the 11th house placement, around these times, let me look at the best times for you guys. Now, we are going to be having Venus in Cancer. So again, home-based businesses, and it can benefit you if you put yourself out. The 18th is a really great day for that. And I would say from the beginning of the month, because you want to get it done prior to Mars going retrograde. I do feel if you guys are actually dealing with these things, the 2nd as well is a very good day. Apart from the fact it's squaring, it's getting things done, getting the paperwork sorted, getting things out, thinking outside the box. And with the full moon in Aquarius, it can be bringing a new chapter in. Now, Taurus lands in your 11th house, which is great. You're going to get the yin yang. If you have sent resumes out and you are able to return to work, or you are developing something, by you networking, it will benefit you. So any hard work you're doing from home or directly in an attempt to apply, it will benefit you by networking. Looking at your hopes, dreams, and goals, and looking at your direct surroundings. It can be old people that you worked for. It can be looking at your friendship groups, redoing your resume. It's a really good time to actually upgrade these energies and get them done as soon as possible. Now, again, the Aries energy is manifesting abundance, but it's if you've got a wound linking to that, you need to be actually balancing that energy in. I also feel if there's something that you have delayed making a decision on, it can majorly come up by September, so you want that sorted. I'm also feeling your throat chakra, as I mentioned, blue topaz. emerald can actually help, because what you're communicating, you're manifesting. You need to be cautious with that. I'm also seeing lower back energies with the Saturn frequency, so the red chakra, base chakra, to actually balance it, and taking time during the month to actually balance yourself out. But I really do feel with communication, there's going to be a lot of healing to do with that, to do with your hopes, your dreams, your ambitions, and I feel you'll be able to pull it in by the end of the month. Any questions while I'm here? I'll grab the ruin and I'll read that, and then I'll have to write the next chart and I'll come back. Do we understand how this month's going? Has this helped any? Fire. Good old Mars in your career sector and anything you're working on at an emotional, psychological level. It relates to ash, elm, and it relates to deity Odin. We can look at Saturn and Uranus retrograde linking to that, and fire, Mars energy. Healthy give and take, 8th house placement. This is the full moon in Aquarius. Healthy give and take and healthy boundaries. Nothing is for nothing. So if you're getting to a point, especially with Aries and Chiron landing in your 10th house, you're thinking, oh, all of this was for nothing. Yes, but it's more to do with the fact that your belief, look, I do feel for Cancerians, it's almost like you're being very critical on yourself. Career aspects are coming up because of the Cancer Capricorn axis. It's more to do with the fact that the energy of the wound is coming up in that location, but the highest energy that's coming up is your connections. You're worth more than money. Okay, so if you do have a belief about that and you're wanting to give the best, you're wanting to be the best, or you're wanting it vice versa, it's yin yang energy. Get it in balance. It could be pretty challenging this month in connections regardlessly, because with the Capricorn energy, it does come across with this vibration in 2020, 1111, which is a four vibration year. It's both males and females, or yin and yang, having to be very leveled up in their own energy. So even if you're in a connection, it's almost like both individuals are fully booked doing things. So not being codependent, but getting things done. And it is for the bigger picture. So it's like a rebuild. It's like, okay, catastrophe happened, the tower moment happened, and the rebuild has been there. It has been more so heavy in 2020, but it was coming through, and some of this is linking back to 2012 with Uranus going retrograde. So we're ending this cycle, moving into the next, but it's the level up to it to get that there. So we're in complete vibrational alignment to move into this new energy moving forward. Now, if you're feeling, this can relate to gifts, opportunities, partnerships, love match, sacrifice, obligations. Now, esoterically, and there's no negativity to do with this, you may be coming into this month going, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed, but it's karmic union, divine revelation. It's you coming home to yourself and realizing, A, you're worth more than money. When we manifest the cash component and good contracts and great relationships, it all comes down to a spiritual belief you hold inside yourself, and it's the laws of attraction. Yes, I'm still getting headaches, but I have been drinking fluid. You've got to be careful with the caffeine intake. Also, if you're triggered to do with the overwhelm energy of obligations this month, because work can be expectations, it can be people needing on you and things coming at you at left field, get to a place where you take 5 and you get grounded. Don't, because you will feel overwhelmed, but we can move towards pacifiers, which can be smoking, alcohol, illicits, excessive caffeine, and with the Leo energy there and Aries in Chiron retrograde, it can be dangerous. Traveling, caution. Communicating, caution. Hi, SK. So just get to a place where you get grounded, but I do feel a lot of healing between connections going on, that even though we have Aries and Chiron there, in your relationship sector, in your finance, you're healing all aspects this month, but it's going to be up and down. I would say do third eye chakra meditation. You can also tap the third eye, which will get rid of it, and do breathing exercises to actually flow that frequency. Okay. Let me read what this says. On an esoteric divinational level, this ruin suggests that the quadrant has been or will be offered a gift from the gods. Okay, this may take the form of wisdom or insight or an opportunity. The quadrant is warned, however, of the responsibilities in accepting such a gift. The old Norse philosopher that there is nothing comes from nothing, emphasizing the quadrant's oneness to use the gift correctly and the knowledge and to acknowledge both the giver and the given. Warns against taking gifts or relationships for granted. So again, 10th house, career, reputation, fame, or lack of. That's the wound energy. If you're becoming too fixated on it, yes, you have responsibilities, and it's even, work is a contract with a relationship, but it's the give and take. It's the healthy boundaries. It's also nothing is for nothing, but it's also don't overgive. It's almost like I bought you a Lamborghini, so therefore you have to buy me a Porsche. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. You're choosing to do something. Yes, nothing's for nothing. You've seen the happiness in that person, but do they owe you something? No, but just get that revelation right. Good karma comes to you, which I do feel with the 8th house placement. All the hard work you've done, and I've just looked up 8-8. You will get the benefits by the end of the year. And some of you are going to have huge wins this month financially. So there can be benefits of surrounding yourself with healthy people and gifts coming to you, but don't feel that everything you're doing even at a spiritual level, if you're healing and you're thinking, oh, is that person over there healing? Just shift the energy back to self, but keep the give and take open. But don't, if you're triggered and you're in that egoic frequency during the month, there is a potential to have that lack energy and misunderstand and have that crosswise. If you can keep it in alignment, it will benefit you. Okay? I also feel it links to the connection and the relationship to yourself. I will be back shortly, and the next one I will be doing, I do have a client at 12, so I'm going to do my best to get as many as I can get done. Otherwise they will travel over to Sunday, my time Sunday, your time Saturday. The next one's going to be Scorpio, so I'll be back shortly. Love and light. If you do want to make a booking, get in quick, because I am already filling up for this month. I think people are tuning into the energy coming, and they're like, ugh. I will later do a Lionsgate portal energy, and I'm going to also be doing a romance psychic oracle card reading for each zodiac. Love and light.